It's an Audi A3, but not perhaps quite as you know it. Here we've the saloon version, which in this second generation form has been designed to even more effectively bring the brand's cool elegance within the reach of those who might find the only slightly larger A4 model a bit of a stretch. We all like the idea of good things in sensibly sized packages. In essence, that's what this is. There's now a completely digitalised interior and cutting-edge infotainment, plus more unique light signatures, various electrified engines, and a suite of innovative assistance systems enveloped in a completely redesigned, yet immediately recognisable body.
Everything about this car is designed to deliver on the concept of a Volkswagen Golf with just a touch more polish, and the driving experience it offers is no exception to that. If you're an A3 regular, or if you're a graduate from a Golf, you'll find that this Audi now has even more of the mature drive dynamics that you'll be looking for, and that's helped by a fully digital at-the-wheel experience and the optional embellishment of hybrid power and self-driving tech. Differences with this Mark II A3 Saloon design initially seem quite subtle. They're primarily centered around slightly sharper steering and handling that's now a little more responsive. That's thanks to wider track and to the introduction of a modular dynamic handling control system that, based on steering movements, predictively coordinates interplay between all of the car's dynamic systems, rather like a conductor with an orchestra, so the car can always be one step ahead of the drive inputs that you want to make. As before, you'll also need to avoid the lowest powered petrol and diesel variants if you want the brand's suppler and more sophisticated multi-link rear suspension system. Now the engines, they've evolved too. The two volume petrol units, the 110 PS 1 litre 3-cylinder unit and the 150 PS 1.5 litre 4-cylinder power plant that most will want, they both get Audi's latest mild hybrid MHEV electrified tech. That's provided you order them with the 7-speed S-tronic automatic transmission that most A3 folk tend to want. That MHEV setup sees an integrated 48-volt BAS belt alternator starter generator powering a 12-volt main electrical setup in which a 48-volt compact lithium-ion battery in the boot stores energy harvested via a KERS, a kinetic energy recovery system. The resulting WLTP-rated efficiency improvements aren't massive, but they do enable fuel and CO2 readings to remain very competitive. A typical 35 TFSI S-tronic variant manages up to 51.4 mpg on the combined cycle and up to 126 grams per kilometre of CO2. If you don't care about Friends of the Earth, you can do better with the alternative conventional 30 TDI diesel, of course. That now develops 116 PS and it uses a larger, more efficient 2-litre unit with the brand's latest twin dosing tech. There is also a 150 PS 2-litre 35 TDI model option. That's what we're trying here. If you purely prioritise performance, then you're more likely to be drawn to the S3 Quattro Performance variant. That, as before, uses a 310 PS 2-litre TFSI turbo petrol unit, which is now exclusively mated to S-tronic paddle shift automatic transmission. In a market where it competes with four-door coupe designs like the Mercedes CLA and the BMW 2 Series Gran Coupe, it was essential that this second-generation A3 Saloon look a little more dynamic than its predecessor. And it does. In contrast with the A3 Sportback, the Saloon's bodyline continues in a straight line up to the rear bumper. This emphasises its length, 15 centimetres longer than the Sportback, and makes for elegant proportions in profile. The concave surfaces under the broad body shoulder further accentuates the shape's rear Quattro blisters and the lower sills, while the roofline, which tapers down from the B-pillar and finishes in a spoiler on the boot lid, draws inspiration from coupe design. Now, this Mark II model A3 Saloon is sleeker than the old car. The Aero CD factor is down from 0.29 to 0.25, and it's a little larger than its predecessor too, 4 centimetres longer, 4.5 metres in length, plus it's 2 centimetres wider and 1 centimetre taller. Now, if you happen to be familiar with the previous generation A3 Saloon, you might not expect much in terms of interior space change here, given that the wheelbase is the same as that old car, but the slight expansions in width and height have improved elbow room, and thanks to a repositioned driver's seat, that's added an extra 2 centimetres of front headroom. As with the Mark IV A3 Sportback, there are big changes in the cockpit, which gains this minimalist auto gearshift lever and the digitalised black panel technology lately introduced into most of the company's other models. A 10.1-inch centre dash MMI display is standard, and it can be used to adjust the settings of the media selection, navigation and extensive Connect services. Also standard is a 10.25-inch virtual cockpit digital instrument cluster we first saw offered as an option on the previous model. In the rear part of the cabin, as before, there's reasonably comfortable space for a couple of adults, but there's slightly more shoulder room than there was before. A 6-footer can sit behind an equally lanky driver, but it is a fairly snug fit, and as you'd expect on this class of car, 3 across the back here only really works if the people concerned are of school-going age. Out back, boot space is much as before, offering a 425-litre capacity. There is also a ski hatch for longer items. If you need more room, then you can flatten the split-folding rear bench for almost as much versatility as you'll get with the Sportback hatch variant. So, how to sum up? Well, this second-generation A3 Saloon might not look that much different at first glance, but it'll certainly feel so once you take a seat inside and get to grips with the enhanced media connectivity. We also think the introduction of the extra electrified engine technology is very significant. Unless you were looking to make some sort of style statement. Now, this car won't turn the heads of passers-by like a rival Mercedes CLA or a BMW 2 Series Gran Coupe, but then that very discretion is a fundamental part of its appeal. As with any other A3, it's at home in Belgravia as it is in Brixton, offering a democratisation of automotive luxury without a dilution of desirability. If you doubt that, then you've only got to get behind the wheel, because the interior is where this design really strides apart. You could be in a luxury car, and of course in many ways you are, just one that perhaps better reflects the times we live in.